But I want to proceed by saying this. Welcome to Full Spectrum Podcast, or is it Spectrum Pod? Or it's not on the spectrum anymore because people had problems. But I tell you what I'm going to do, Danny, and this is what I started to say before you suggested we record, to which I say thank you. This is Breezy, and what I have to say is that I'm going to take the designs I have that say on the spectrum, and I'm just going to like X out whatever words we aren't using, so it still says on the spectrum, but then only says the spectrum, or you know what I mean, or whatever it is that we change it to. It could just be really Spectrum funny. Podcast. What if, you see how this graphic has like on the spectrum there? I put podcast in the middle. We could just cross out the top line so it just says Spectrum
like
Podcast.
Logo.
Yeah.
Pretend it's not there.
Yeah, but then it's perfect because it still gets it gets to do what you wanted it to do, which is exist, and then it gets everyone else to shut the fuck up and leave me alone. I love you guys, but I was just trying to be provocative, not like fucking have to be hyper woke in my name. I was trying to be provocative. And I guess what actually really drove the fucking final nail in the coffin is my good friend Liz, who pointed out that there's literally already like a whole slew of podcasts with the exact same name on the spectrum, which are about people who are on the spectrum, which Danny questions herself, but I'm pretty sure I'm too personable for that shit. So I get it. I do get it.
Whatever. People just hating.
So without much fucking further ado,
I'm Danny.
I'm Breezy.
And we're on the spectrum.
And we're Spectrum Podcast.
Anyway, do you know what a Swedish chef is?
I like the Muppet?
Swedish chef.
Muppet.
Unless I'm not reading that right.
It's a Muppet character.
Well, not according to the Urban Dictionary.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that that's also true. That same with Superman is not just Superman in
but if you've
Urban Dictionary.
Done the Swedish chef to somebody, it's when you use a sexual use of a cucumber or other vegetable on your partner.
Huh. So like, does it have to be penetrative?
It doesn't specify that. So I'm going to say yes because, I mean, what are you going to do? Just rub a cucumber on?
I know. I was like a cold kind of like vegetable.
I fuck with ice every once in a while.
But at least like ice cubes makes goosebumps, which can be kind of hot because you get goosebumps when you're turned on enough anyway, you know? So it's like,
so?
I mean, maybe I do. Maybe that's like the royal we, but dude, hilarious. That actually also makes me think of, I had one more thought there.
It was cucumber boning.
Oh, you've been a drummer on and off in the past. Have you ever drummed with cucumbers?
No, I can't say that I have.
So like, this is like going into the microboner thing before. It's like some things I don't know if they're things. So.
Wait, is this drumming with cucumbers still a sexual thing?
No, it's like I
just some asshole.
I asked Jay. I like joked and forwarded a TikTok to Jay on Instagram that was like a guy drumming with cucumbers, and it was like day 28, busting my cucumbers out, and I was like, what the hell is this a thing? I was like, ha ha ha, guy with cucumber, and he's like, oh, I was like, when's the last time you cuked?
Ew. Is this like some kind of
no, it's
foreplay?
Not. No, it's literally music technique because the cucumber has a certain amount of fragility to it and a certain watery weight to it. So it sounds interesting, apparently, on drum heads. It's super nerdy, bro. That's all. It's like a nerd thing. It's totally non-sexual. But I mean, sometimes nerds make it sexual, like, you know, band camp. As in flutes. As an American Pie.
Did you know the word Jungkook is a weird thing?
Okay, next. I have to say, as a separate gripe, I kind of feel like humans are so silly. There's a lot of philosophers that I like, but one of them, Alan Watts, he does a fun job of kind of breaking down just how silly written languages and words are and how limiting they can be for like frames of thought and everything else. And so it's kind of just it's funny how on the spectrum means something so powerfully just because the on the is added there. And then it's like, that's a phrase. People know that as a phrase and a term and it has a meaning to them. And then they feel strongly about it. But it's just a fucking string of words. And if you like mix up the words, it doesn't mean that anymore. Spectrum, the on spectrum, the on spectrum. Like if you just
That
fuck
sounds
with
like
it.
my ex. Like, he would say it's our. Like, why would you? I don't know.
So if you just say Spectrum podcast or the Spectrum or on Spectrum, then all of a sudden it loses that power. But the fucking second it's on the, then people are like, I don't know, guys. You know what I mean?
That's just like a way of controlling people.
Well, that's exactly right. Language controls people. That's kind of like one of the ideas that is cool about, like, if you look at some of the philosophy someone like Alan Watts is talking about.
Who the fuck is Alan Watts?
He's one of my favorite philosophers. And he has a bunch of he was a professor for years too. So he has a bunch of like really great lectures that you can watch on YouTube, which is probably more accessible for the crowd listening to this or for yourself. And in those lectures, he covers the same stuff that he does in his books. But what he did in a practical sense is bring a lot of the kind of lessons away from like the East and from Buddhist kind of meditation and Taoism and all that shit, and then like bring it over to Western culture through the lens that Westerners could understand. So
Are you still talking about the philosopher?
I'm saying who this philosopher is. You said you
Philosopher.
weren't aware of like who this person is. I was just giving you a quick synopsis so that you don't feel left in the dark. But the point is that words are one of the things he talks about. In Western culture, we allow them to have so much power and we bind so much meaning to them, but it's really just a meaningless fucking garble goop of sound that comes out of your mouth. So it's kind of like this funny thing because at the most basic level, language is just supposed to be about communication. However, we allow it to mean such powerful shit, and like that's why we're changing our podcast name. It's the same fucking thing. A string of words offends people, so you fucking just change it slightly, you know? Just saying, bro. And that's fine.
It's like the string of words that comes out of people's butts that give them hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Sorry about your hemorrhoids, guys.
Exactly. Or if you forgot the beads in too long, then it just feels like hemorrhoids.
Have you ever like woken up and feel like a worm's coming out of your butt?
Dude, what's with like the little like troll belly button crystals, but for buttholes?
Wait, what?
You haven't seen those?
No.
Oh, you quit porn.
I did quit porn.
Yeah, well, dude, there are these things. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
No.
did you ever see in the 90s and the early, maybe it was just the 90s. In the 90s, the version of trolls, they all had gems in their bellies.
Yeah.
And then they sold those, you know, the long-haired, ugly face.
Yeah.
So I'm saying gem belly. So you know how they had like the shiny, like a ruby, like sapphire.
But in a belly button?
Yeah, well, yeah, in that case, but
I'm fascinated by belly buttons. But can you explain why
I'm
porn
saying
and not like I used to be in porn?
Well,
like, you just
okay, wait. Let's like before we explain
I didn't
that.
quit porn. I was
So imagine that troll's belly button being a butthole, and still having that crystal right there, just boop in the middle.
I just like a cat's butt, like cat bejeweled butts.
All right, honestly, I don't watch enough porn to know,
never seen
and I'm
a
not
cat
like
in a
I
porno.
also am not in the industry.
Porn trolls.
I don't have as Brian's fans call it. I don't have an OF account, so I'm over here in the dark too. Maybe you guys can get at me. You know, Spectrum Pod here. I need some help. What's with the butt gems? Anybody? Butt gems. I will take
I feel
any
like
explanation.
what happened to just good old fashioned bleaching your asshole?
We should ask Courtney's ex-boyfriends about that, because she talked about how they talked about how boys all look at the butts, but none of them tries to let you know that they look at the butts. But then hers is such a nice butt that they keep telling her, like, what do you do? And she's like, what do you mean? Because it's like she's got a natural gleaming butt. It's called being white and from Indiana, guys. Like,
white girl pornos.
I think what the basis of everything in beauty as a standard comes from is like someone somewhere at some point has that. So like I guess someone had the bleached butthole naturally, and it was Courtney Rainwater. Shout out, we love you, girl. Get out her, the real Courtney Rainwater.
Ask her how she changed her name.
Wait, what? I thought that was a joke. Was it real?
Go. That's why I said to ask her.
Okay, and just to circle back because you asked me to, and I'm not that short on memory yet. Danny was never in porn. Danny was a fan of porn, an extreme fan of porn. In fact, some might call it an addict. She had a healthy appreciation that became unhealthy.
It was so bad.
But dude, like, whatever. I feel like addiction is just like,
Do they have rehab for like porn addictions? Or do you just have to figure it out?
sweetheart, in this economy, they have rehab for anything because if you dole out the money, then, well,
It's
by
like not
golly,
the
capitalism
worst.
has it.
It's like not the worst relapse, but it's like one of those shameful relapses.
Does it mean when you're relapsing, you're just coming the whole time? You're like, oh,
Actually,
God.
that's like the complete opposite of a porn addiction. At a certain point, it's just like you're not even like finishing anymore.
Numb to
Turn-ons, dude. It just feels like you constantly have to pee all the time.
See, this is an interesting topic. So what happens to the little girls that start out riding horses and keep riding horses?
That's
You think that
disgusting.
eventually they're like, nope.
No, I just okay. When vibrators, after a while, I've heard they just numb you, like they just
I don't know.
overstimulation.
I guess I don't. Yeah, sure. I can
I
imagine.
don't know. So I feel like that's kind of what it was for me, just like this overstimulation of just endless hours.
Your brain, the serotonin or oxytocin or something got all effing messy.
So intimacy definitely got super weird for me, and it didn't satisfy me. Like I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
Even though it was like a real person.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I would have preferred, a couple episodes of some weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, then it's like the brain replacing it with that.
Totally. No, it was really weird. Not my previous relationship, but my last relationship, it really bled all over the place. I even stopped, finding my, that partner even attractive. Like I wasn't even attracted to this person anymore. I just felt, I could kind of get it done by myself.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. And and then even when we were like actually getting into it, like it would take me forever. And then I would just get bored. And
that was when we were
realizing I'm not attracted to this person.
Someone had a comment that perfectly aligns with that notion on Brian's like live stream the other day that we were on. We were on whatever pod, but get it. It was like,
it's called the Whatever Podcast.
This person just writes in the chat, I'm self-partnered. I can get it anytime I want.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Dude, that fucking podcast. Now that how many days has it been? It was last Thursday.
Today is Tuesday.
Not even a full week.
It's been 5 days.
That's okay. 5 days, not 7. That's not a whole week.
Yeah, no, I was agreeing with you. It has not been more than 5 days. A week.
How was that for you? That was complete stress. It really tested me. I feel like emotionally, I grew up maybe 5 years.
Which is funny because everyone around you was like at least 5 years younger than you and even more younger than me. And then like it kind of got a little uncomfortable and shifty when they realized that they were like the target dating population for all of these.
Like the Whatever Podcast
people.
Purposely. No, I can't say that.
Algorithm. He's hacking the algorithm.
They just pick people and
hack the algorithm. If you can keep viewers in because hot girls are sitting there, whatever, and you do a video that's over a certain amount of hours and you get at least a couple thousand folks to sit through most of those hours, you just make good money on YouTube because viewership time is everything.
Sounds like some sort of fucking slave work.
Well, that's kind of their whole model is to get people to just endlessly create content to keep them relevant and whether it makes people money or not.
Is that what we're doing?
No.
Am I a
no,
slave
but
worker?
I might be shamelessly pandering to the fact that I do have a YouTube channel that has anybody that ever subscribed to it. So I love you guys. Thanks. # share it with your friends.
How do you like doing stand-up?
Spectrum Pod. That's us. I love it. I think like some of the folks at last night's open mic at Rockfire Girl and Ivy, shout out Laughology, UCSB. Like, what up, guys? They're cool. They run that open mic and they're, what'd they say, UCSB's premier comedy club.
That's so much information. I'm so like, you're so good at remembering stuff like that.
Okay, so we were there last night, and a lot of it was a tired and dead crowd.
Tough crowd. On a
Tired,
Monday
very very
midterm.
tired and dead crowd.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of the comedians that went before us were having a hard time with it, and and they kind of like they were like they kind of
It
got
was really awkward.
But one of the things that they were trying to do to like reach these people, was be like, well, you know, us comedians have lots of issues like depression and
everybody
we
needs
go
therapy.
right, and they're like, we go between our therapist and here on the stage, and like, you know,
Yeah.
it's a pretty true joke. Mine's not really
It's not even a joke anymore. I'm over it.
mine's not depression, guys. I'm PTSD, but I get it. Like, so to me, it's not like so much that that's therapy. I understand who I am as a person. I need to be like stupidly extroverted, and I really enjoy being able to make people laugh and being able to engage. And if it was fun for me to do in front of 5 people at a party, it's even more fun for me to do in front of 50 at like a bar. So yeah, I have a fun time with it.
I've never had a crowd more than 50 people.
Dude,
I'm at the very end. I usually go very last because that's where, you know.
Mel's and Rockfire have both had like one decent crowd that I was able to do too. I don't know. It wasn't because of me, but they just happened to be there. They were subjected to me.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of subject,
So being on the podcast, like the whatever podcast, and doing
it was, I would say it was very whatever.
It was, you know, but I put myself in this position where I let people judge me, and I knew like my body's always been one of my biggest insecurities, like always since I was a smaller person. It's always been my biggest insecurity. So I knew it was going to get attacked, and I just kind of like waited for it, and then like, you know, it happened and it was there, and then, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I definitely put myself out there for people to attack me. And I realized that
Can't touch this.
totally. No, I completely agree. I mean, I was more just exhausted. I feel like I experienced my first true adult migraine.
I think that that's actually a good point, which is that, and kind of the more you embrace just your full self, your shadow self, which is a Carl Jung thing, which is another, I know, philosopher and like psychologist, but philosopher. Anyway, once you do that, kind of full adulting means always having these energy levels that fluctuate because like you're trying to deal with the world and yourself and everything. And I feel like it's even more so when you do comedy, and it's just a little bit more fired up. So it's like, I feel like you and I both go through periods of, okay, we really exerted last night. And then it'll be like the next day we're like den people that don't leave the house.
Social bar. I had to fucking charge it. There was like, I couldn't do it.
I tried to bitch out last night.
I know. And look what fucking happened.
I mean, everything was fine in general, but yeah.
Dude, she flipped her car last night.
Yeah, I mean, the car.
On a mountain.
The car ended up on the side. It was not. I was fine. The car, I have to go get out of
This hustle is real. Dude, I was in a flipped car this year also on the mountain, and
you guys really flipped onto your roof though. That's pretty brutal.
That shit fucking was crazy. I'm still dealing with it, like, you know.
Yeah, I live on a dangerous road, dude. I miscalculated and I was too tired driving home. The good thing is that we had hung out after comedy, so we ate tacos, and I was like ostensibly sober when I left our house. I just was tired as hell. So that's how it goes.
No, I was exhausted. I'm telling you,
and it takes me
blacked out on the couch,
especially from Isla Vista, bro. It takes me a solid
40 minutes,
30 to 40 minutes,
45 minutes,
maybe not 45. I mean, if I was driving pretty slow, probably, but yeah. Which apparently I should always do. Drive very slow and very cautious.
I can't believe you did that. I'm just glad you're okay.
Ooh, Bindi, why do the animals keep being let in here? I don't want another leaf blower moment, but my nose just caught something that is terrible.
I just love these dogs.
Oh, God.
Bindi.
Let's end this.
Ew, Bindi stinks.
Oh, God. Okay, we got to go. Bindi farted. This has been Spectrum Pod. Spectrum podcast.
Not on the Spectrum podcast.
Just Spectrum podcast.
Not on the Spectrum podcast.
This is not. This is Spectrum podcast.
I repeat, not on the Spectrum podcast.
This has been Breezy.
And this is Danny.
See y'all soon.
You can't see us.
Oh God, catch me later.
Bye.
Oh, I forgot.